Hey, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon's success interview. I am so pumped and honored to be with you guys today. I'm actually really excited because I have a really good friend of mine and actually a virtual mentor of mine on the show today to talk a little bit about his success and trials and tribulations when it comes to list building. And if you guys have been tuning in to anything that I have been talking about over the last, I don't know, maybe 6 months now, I have been shouting from the rooftops all about how important it is to grow your email list and turn your social media following into a list that you own and you control and you can follow up with so that you build that know, like, and trust factor with your audience. And they easily, more easily buy what it is that you're recommending and suggesting to them. And so today I get an absolute honor to introduce you to somebody who has helped me actually get familiar with this entire topic over a decade ago today. And so if we're meeting each other for the very first time, it's really nice to meet you. My name is Tanya, Aliza, and I help online business owners grow their influence and grow their audience so that you can make more sales and live a life that you love. And if you tune in, you definitely know who I am. And if you guys can do me a favor in the comment section below, let me know where you're viewing in from. Come say hello. I want to give you some strategies today. Mike and I are going to give you some strategies today on how to really go about list building. Because there are some people out there that do it, I believe, like there's tons of people that do it the right way. And if you've been following any of my stuff, I always say lead with value so that people can really get attracted to what it is that you want. And instead of just saying, hey, join my email list, we see people say that all the time. And it's like, wait a minute, I don't want more emails. I actually want value. And then how do you nurture those people so that they're coming back to you and you're really instilling inside of them that you are the go-to person for XYZ information, whatever it is that your industry or your niche represents. And I'm always curious, everybody that's tuning in live, do me a favor in the comment section below. Let me know what niche you're in. Let me know what business you represent. What are your products? What are your services? I'm always super curious, and it's nice to have you with us. So without further ado, I know that we're limited on time today, and I want to pack the most into this interview as possible and extract the most, not only for myself, you guys, but also for you. So Mike Dillard is here. And if you guys don't know Mike, I mean, where have you been? Mike is literally one of the best, I would say, Mike, you are the person that created and coined the term attraction marketing, at least in my opinion, because I remember back in the day when I was starting my online business and I was going down all of these different rabbit trails on trying to figure out how to attract customers that are interested in the benefits of what my product and service provides. And I remember coming across your book on the interwebs called Magnetic Sponsoring. And I know that has changed so many people's lives. So thank you for creating that. And I don't even know if you realized what you were creating at the time and what it would turn into. But I learned in that ebook back then, that guide, that ebook, how to position myself online to attract perfect buyers and get in front of them with their needs, wants, and desires being having my products and service be the solution. And that was the start to my entire online journey. And you've been a virtual mentor from afar. Now we've become friends, and it's just really awesome to have you go through your journey for all of us to kind of latch our wagon on and go, okay, how are you doing it? And what is it that you're doing? And so I know you've grown an incredible email list over the last decade plus that, you've been doing this. And I want people to come in today. And one of the things that we were talking about a while ago was this health scare that you've recently come out of, and you're on the other side of a little bit. And you shared with me, hey, Tanya, this is what my email list has been able to do for us as a family while I have been basically off social media for a couple of years and have not been able to be out there like I normally would have to be growing a business. And I said, I asked Mike, I said, Mike, can you come out and can you please share this with my community so that they can not only understand, like, yes, an email list is very powerful for growing your business and selling your products and services, but also for the financial security of one's future and family and responsibilities that you have in life. So thank you for being here today and being an incredible mentor to me with all of your products. Now, for anybody that does not know maybe who you are in my online family community, would you mind sharing a little story for them to learn about who you are and your journey when it comes to email list building and where you're at right now?
Yeah. Hi. Thanks for having me, Tanya. It's awesome to be here. And I'll keep it super brief. I've been a full-time entrepreneur since around 2004, 2005. I wrote that book, Magnetic Sponsoring, in 2005 to really help other people learn how to build a business without having to chase after people. And what I realized back then is, and I got my start in the network marketing industry from that industry in 2010. But when I got my start in that industry, it was an interesting time because online marketing was really just starting to take on a life of its own. And you had the vast majority, 99% of the people who were seven-figure earners in that industry were quote unquote, the old school gang, doing things with cold calls and hotel meetings and things like that. And just observing and looking around the industry, I realized that there wasn't a lot of leverage there. And I quickly realized that their earning potential was limited by the number of phone calls they could make on a daily basis or that their team could make on a daily basis. And I just said to myself, well, this is really interesting. What if I just focused on building an email list and attract the right people to me who were interested in what I had to offer, and then put together a sales video or a sales letter that really told my story and the story of the business and sold our product or service right there in the sales letter, and then just took the order. At that point, there were no limits to that amount of leverage. We could take 10,000 people a day through that funnel and that process instead of 10 or 15 people a day. And so that's what I started to do. And I started with a simple capture page. I gave away a 7-day email boot camp. Every day they got a little video that was probably 5 minutes long, a training video with just content, and part 1 on day 1, and then part 2, part 3, 7 parts that ultimately sold a $39 book version of Magnetic Sponsoring. And in that original version of that book, the book then really taught them a lot, but then sold them on the business that I was promoting at the time. And many of them would call me up ready to join. And that's how I grew one of the largest became the number one distributor in my network marketing company at that time. So that's really how it got its start. But I quickly realized that after you learn how to build an email list and an online business, there are bigger opportunities out there outside of the network marketing industry. So again, I retired that world about 11 years ago and have built 3 companies since then that have done all multiple 8 figures in revenue. And at the heart of my marketing strategy for all of these businesses is 3 steps. It's build an email list, build a relationship with the people on that list, and then market helpful products and services to that list. And I don't get super fancy. I've never been really big on social media. And email has just worked for forever now, for 15 years. And in fact, we did a promotion for a course that we launched last week just to my email list, no paid ads, no affiliates, nothing else. And we did about $700,000 in 5 days after sending 5 emails. And so what I like to really refer to this as is a virtual distribution channel. And so if you look out at the world, the biggest companies are the ones who have the most effective distribution. So Starbucks is the number 1 coffee company in the world because they have the best distribution. There's a Starbucks on every corner. Mm-hmm. Same with McDonald's, same with Walmart, same with Walgreens, CVS. With the distribution win. And so an email list for us is a virtual distribution channel. That's how we can promote our products, goods, and service and communicate with our audience automatically. And the amazing part about that is that, we can send out an email to 100,000 people, and it might cost, $1,000 a month to do that. But that email list can generate millions of dollars in revenue automatically. And I've just really never seen anything like it before. So yeah, an email list has been the heart of my business for 15 years now, always has been, probably always will be. But yeah, that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
So I've been scared, and I know I've been screaming. Everyone's probably sick and tired of me saying like build an email list, but you guys do hear this, like no joke. I'm on Mike's email list. He writes incredible emails. And I joked with him before we hit record, and I said, "Hey," so because I haven't seen it, like he just finished a launch of a new product that he created. And I didn't see him on social media going nutso. And that truly is the power of having an engaged, I mean, you don't just have an email list, Mike. I mean, you have a engaged list of raving fans, of people who love your stuff. And the reason is because you show up and you give so much value to them, and you take care of their needs, their wants, their desires, and the things that they're interested in. So it's not just, it's one thing on, giving them something of value to get on the list, but it's another thing like taking care of those people in a way where you're very careful with what you promote, and you promote the things that really matter to them and can truly help them. And that's what increases the lifetime value of all of your email subscribers. So I'm curious to ask, because just recently, and you've been talking about this publicly as well, so I'm okay to say this, but you've gone through, over the last couple of years, you had gone through a very scary health crisis. And would you mind sharing with everybody, this is very powerful for the financial security, I think, of everyone's family, budgets, whatever, how important this can be, in a different way to look at the email list as an asset in your life and in your business. And can you share maybe a little bit about what happened, and then how your email list helped to support what you were going through?
Yeah, for sure. And you nailed it on the head. Your email list is the most important and valuable asset that you will ever build as an online business owner. It's not your social media following, it's not your products, it's not your services, it is your email list. Because as long as you have that, your business can disappear tomorrow, and if you have your email list, you can start a new one up the next day. And so that is, without a doubt, the number one asset that you can own. For me, it took on a new level of importance July 13th, 2018, when I suffered a brain injury because of a severe toxic mold infection, and was working one day and then felt a click in my head. And like that, I was basically bedridden for about 2 years. Couldn't work, couldn't do any of the normal functions that I would typically do. Couldn't create products, couldn't use my brain, couldn't sleep for nearly 2 years. And that was, yeah, without a doubt, the single biggest challenge of my life. And I literally had to focus 100% on surviving that. And I realized that owning a business and having financial security are two different things. And for the previous years of my life, I always thought that owning a business was financial security because I was in charge of my destiny. And that is the case until you are suddenly unable to work. And that's something that I never really thought about or anticipated. But nonetheless, it happened. And thank God I had my email list, because that became really my only source of revenue. So unable to work, medical bills going through the roof. Unfortunately, for something like toxic mold, none of it's covered by insurance. So all of the doctors that I worked with, are basically pay by cash, $2,000 a month in supplements and tests and just all kinds of other crazy stuff. And, we've still got $30,000, $40,000 a month in overhead from the small team that I have, and the software that runs our companies, and all of those things to pay for. And yeah, my email list literally saved my life, because if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have been able to produce the cash to get the medical care that I needed or to keep my business up and running. So we were able to basically just recycle previous promotions from older courses that I had done in the years prior. Once a quarter, do a promo for one of our old courses that, we had the emails from the previous launch, and we would just re-queue those emails up and hit send and essentially ran the exact same campaign. Or we would do an affiliate promotion for somebody else's product. And I think we made still, even at the worst part of it, almost $1 million in gross revenue in a year. That might sound like a lot for most people, but if you have $40,000-$50,000 a month in overhead and then taxes, that's really break even. Just to be super clear with everybody around that. But it is what absolutely saved my life. I wouldn't have been able to have made it through that period without that email list. So it is, again, the most important asset I've ever had. And then now that my health has recovered and we're starting a new business and we get to launch that business like we did last week and do almost $1 million in a 7-day period, it's a great way to kick things off and start a new chapter. So it was a huge part of my recovery for sure.
Well, congratulations on the launch of the new product, by the way. I'm excited to talk about that in a little bit when I can. But honestly, I mean, I know so many people out there that are really burnt out, and they're on social media 24 hours a day trying to figure out the latest, greatest new way to get eyeballs and an audience. And these are great platforms to, start with, right? To bring the eyeballs to you. But if you're not capturing that audience, if you're not capturing that attention, you're completely missing the boat as an online entrepreneur. In fact, I wouldn't even say that you were an online entrepreneur if you didn't have a way that you were growing your internal business list with taking that audience and moving them into your world. And a lot of people are just burnt out because they're, trying to do live videos all the time and TikToks all the time now, whatever, right? And you are, you're just crafting really beautiful value-driven emails with valuable products to your list. Now, I'm curious though. So how do you right now grow your list? Like, how is your list growing every day?
Yeah, it's 99% of my lists, and throughout the 3 companies that I've built, we've had well over 1 million to 1.5 million subscribers. Right now my list is about 120,000 people because we constantly clean it. It's something you have to do about every 90 days is unsubscribe anybody who's not reading or opening your emails. And the most effective way that we've built our list is through webinars. Webinar registration, whether it's an evergreen automated webinar or a live webinar, or even just an opt-in for a training video. That's been the most effective because specifically with webinars, people enter in their real email addresses because they need to get the registration link. And that's something that you have to think about. And so webinar registrations and then we use paid ads. So paid ads is the other piece of the equation. There's 2 ways to do it to get traffic. One is to pay for traffic and the other is to earn the traffic, right? So I, again, don't like doing the social media thing on a daily basis. That's just me. I'm a bit of an introvert. It can be very, very, very effective. If you're an extrovert and you love to do it, then by all means go do that, because a ton of people that I know have built massive businesses doing that. The best thing to do, in my opinion, is a combination of both. But at the end of the day, how I built my email lists quickly was through paid ads. And so, I think in the last product that I had that we ran cold traffic, paid traffic through to a webinar, we were generating about 1,000 opt-ins a day. So that's 30,000 subscribers a month. And that's going to cost money, right? That's going to cost anywhere from $5 to $15 an opt-in on average. And so we're spending a lot of money every single month to get those. But we were promoting an automated webinar that sold a $1,500 product, and we would sell on average, we would do between $300,000 and $500,000 a month in revenue. And so at the same time, I'm essentially building my list for free because the sales of the product are paying for the acquisition of those subscribers. And then we've got enough left over for a nice profit. And it's a really nice business model that just kind of does this upward spiral and takes care of itself. And now the neat part is you have that email list. And if you do a good job, as you mentioned, providing entertainment and value and building rapport with your subscribers, that initial sale was just the beginning of the relationship. Again, if your products are fantastic and you build a great relationship, many of those people are going to buy your next product and then your next product and then your next product. And when we did our promo last week, just in the comments and emails we've been getting in the Facebook group, these are the people who have been buying since Magnetic sponsoring 12, 15 years ago. And they've been on my email list that long as well. And so the results just compound afterwards. And so that's how I've gone about my process. We also have a little widget that we put on my website that will pop up in the little bottom right-hand corner and offer a free mini course of some kind. You can do a banner at the top, all different methodologies that you can do to essentially just capture free traffic that may be from people who are stumbling across your website because they found you on Google or social media or something along those lines.
After all of the things that you have tested for opt-ins, would you say webinar is the best versus like a video series or a free guide? Would you say, well, I guess because you're promoting something that is around the $1,500 mark, you would need to have it be a webinar because they need more.
It all comes down to price point for sure.
What if somebody has something that is like $100, $50, $297? What would you recommend they do?
It's really interesting. So we have two products that we sell right now for $97. And it's just a very short written sales letter. I don't even think I've recorded a video for either of them. And that's because those are products that people are most likely, it's going to be a $97 purchase is an impulse buy. There's not a lot of risk involved. And it's something that if somebody's scrolling through on mobile or they see it on Instagram or whatever it may be, and they can read a real short letter in 5 to 10 minutes and double click their phone button, right, to buy now for $97, that's kind of the prime price point for that or under. And that's worked really well. Other than that, anything above, I'd say $300 needs to go into and have at least have a sales video and probably a sales letter with it. And then anything $1,000 or more is certainly going to be on a webinar or require you to go through an application process and do the sale over the phone if you're selling coaching or services like that.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that. And so now people are starting to build their email list and they have somebody, they've given away something value for free. They've got them on the list. Maybe some people have purchased right away. Maybe some people have not purchased right away. What's your email frequency as far as mailing your list? And what do you typically mail your list on that frequency to keep them so engaged like your audience is with you?
Gosh, that's a hard question for me to answer because my email frequency over the last 3 years going through this health stuff went basically to almost zero. But I would say the one thing that I managed to keep going during that period was my weekly podcast. So even through the health stuff, I managed to do an interview a week and get that podcast out on a weekly basis. And literally for the last 3 years, that was my only email that went out was a weekly podcast saying, hey, here's the new interview and an image of it and things like that, other than the promotions that we did. And so from a frequency standpoint, the more frequent, the better, as long as the quality is there. And I just use a real simple, rule of thumb, which is if I read this email, would I be glad that I did, or would I be frustrated, or would I have not gotten value and would I want to unsubscribe? And so, that's kind of been my filter. If the answer to that question is no, then I don't send the email. I don't commit to any like hard and fast schedule. I've got to get an email out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday through Friday. It really is this going to be something someone is going to be glad that they read? And on top of that, what I try to do with my emails that I don't think a lot of people do is make them as personal as I can. And so one of the emails that we sent last week, we were on a ski trip as well. I took my son skiing last week, and I always use an image at the top of my email. So my emails have a headline, and then they have an image, and then they have the written copy. And the image, I try to make it really personal, right? So for a stock photo, it's never something else. So it was a picture of me and my son at the airport on our way to go to Colorado. And then I usually start the email with some kind of very personal, quick story, as if I was writing you or one of my other friends. And that's just building that connection and that personal rapport. I don't want it to feel like a business. I don't want it to feel like a business transaction. I want it to feel like we're friends and we're buddies, and I'm bringing you into my life, and I'm telling you about some cool stuff that I think is going to be really helpful to you. And that's just kind of how I think about it. Yeah.
I mean, get on Mike's email list, you guys. Like, check out his podcast, get on his email list. I'm on very few people's email lists, but Mike, yours is one of them. And I love studying your emails. I mean, I've learned a lot when you're on somebody's emails, or when you see something on social media that spikes your interest and makes you feel a certain way. As a marketer, take note of that, right? And figure out, okay, well, how can I use this into my business as well? And we actually started doing that. We have a weekly email that goes out, but now we started to do a Saturday email where we're really personable. At the very top, we do the personal photo. We have, a little story. We draw people in. Like, I don't want to always feel like I'm selling my people something. I always want to feel like I'm building a relationship with them. It's a two-way street. I actually care. And, it's incredible when you actually do that. And then and some people are even like, oh, I don't know what to promote. And I would say, well, just send a friendly email and check in on your people and say hi and share a story and then ask a question. If you don't have anything to promote, still, if you're not doing weekly content or anything like that, like you should be, but let's say you miss a week or something happens, just do a friendly check-in. And I like how you said, like, just pretend that you're talking to a friend, because really that is what it is all about. So one last question, Mike.
Yep.
For people that are either just getting started with building an email list, or they're just like looking into it, they just realized that it's a thing today. Like, oh my goodness, I probably should be doing this for my business. What would you say to those people, and how important it is? Because where would you say that they should kind of look at starting, as far as like messaging to whatever product or service that it is that they're selling?
Go through your course. That's what I would tell them to do.
Thank you.
I mean, honestly, that's what I would tell them to do. But this is very simple, but it is also not so simple, because success is in the details. Theoretically, you set up an email autoresponder, you write a couple of emails, and that's all there is to it. Which is just not the case. Success literally is in the details. And so, I think going through your program would be huge. And I'm not just saying that because we're on this. I genuinely mean that. And then really just, it's practice. Like, the more you write, the better you're going to get. And if you really just focus on, it's really interesting. A lot of people do email promotions, and they don't know how to sell their product or service. They don't know how to transition from providing value to then the sales part of the process. And that's really the key to success when it comes to this from a business perspective. So really learning how to write sales copy. How do you tell a story that creates an emotion, and then you lead into the next logical step in the process, which is ideally your solution that you provide. And that's really the art form that allows you to turn email marketing into a revenue generating process. So I would say that start studying copywriting, study copywriting books, study successful sales letters, go read the Gary Halbert letters. I'm sure you can tell them more about that, Tanya, but that's something that, every copywriter has studied for years, and it's free online. You can go study Gary's old emails. He was one of the best email copywriters in the world, and learn how to tell a story. One of the emails that we sent last week that did over 6 figures in sales in a day was me finding a headline about a janitor who had worked for $12 an hour or less most of his life at J.C. Penney's and had amassed an $8 million fortune that his family found out about when he died. And so I thought that was a fascinating story. And I just told that story in one of my emails, and I found a picture of the guy and I put his picture at the top. And it was like, basically, what does this guy know about investing that most other entrepreneurs don't? And I kind of did all of the research that I could about him. And I told people about his lunch routine and what he would do every day, and that he was a war veteran and things like that. And then it just transitioned into a lesson. What could we learn from his story, and how did he do that? And then how is that relevant to what we're, offering at that moment in time? And that email had all of the critical elements. It had curiosity. It had a compelling story, an inspiring story. It had value. And then it had a call to action. And so that's the art of email marketing. And so it is, again, a little bit more complicated than what I've made it out to be, because the art, again, is in the art of communication. And at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about. The mechanic might be email, but the art and the effectiveness comes from your effectiveness as a communicator. And so that really, I think, is a big piece of the equation that people need to focus on.
Great tips. And I mean, yeah, we're sharing that all the time and helping people to, I call it stop the scroll. It's like, you've got to find a way to get people's attention. And there's definitely an art and science in that, because with so much stuff that exists out there nowadays on social and in email inboxes, you've got to find a way to really like grab that attention. And there's definitely an art and science in that, but it's understanding first who it is. And this is one of the very first exercises in my program where I teach, like, you have to understand who it is that you're even talking to or speaking to. Because if you don't know their needs, their wants, their desires, what keeps them up at night, how are you to ever speak to them to get them to go, ooh, I need that and I want it.
Yep. Exactly.
So I love that you shared that, because there's definitely an art and science to that. And success leaves clues, you guys. So, study the people that capture your attention. For some reason, they do, right? I study Mike's emails when they come through my email inbox. I look at them with my marketer lens as much as a consumer lens. I'm looking at them going, how did this work so well? What grabbed my attention, and how can I use that theory back into my world and in my business? So, success leaves clues. And that being said, you guys, if you guys know, the doors to my list building bootcamp have just opened last week, and they closed this week. So the course that Mike was telling you to go through of mine, if you're interested in building and growing your email list and attracting an engaged audience, perfect buyers on social media, online, through your efforts, definitely go and check that out at mylistbuildingbootcamp.com. And if somebody can post that in the comment section below, that would be great. And then one more thing too, I do want to let you guys know that if you missed the masterclass that we hosted last week called the Revenue Multiplier, which basically brings you behind the scenes of my multiple seven-figure brand and business and shows you the exact freebie funnel that I use in my business, that I call my $1 million funnel, that attracts a lot of leads and definitely produces a lot of revenue and sales for us. You guys can come and join that masterclass tomorrow at 8 p.m. And here's a little easy way to get a reminder of when I go live. I'm actually going to broadcast it live on my Facebook page, and you can text the word training to 74121. And that'll get you a 15-minute reminder right before I go live, so you don't miss it. And then you can come and see the beautiful presentation that we put together for you on how I've built this $1 million funnel that generates us a ton of leads and a ton of sales in my world, so that you can copy some of those strategies and put them back into your business and into your world. And so we had 15,000 people register for that web class last week. And we're going to do it again, because we had a lot of emails of people saying, we missed it. Are you doing another one? So you guys ask and we deliver. There you go. So you can get on that. Mike, thank you so much for your time today. It's valuable. But also too, everybody go and check out what Mike is doing. Mike Dillard is it .com or .net? .com.
.com. Yep.
MikeDillard.com. And he's got some incredible stuff. Get on his email list. Check out his podcast. I am an avid, loyal subscriber and listener to his podcast. He brings out some amazing guests, and he's all about business, marketing, finance type information, which is all entrepreneurs, what we need to know and what we need to plug into. So, Mike, again, thank you for coming. Thank you for your time.
You bet.
Check them out, you guys. And I will see you guys tonight at 8:00 back here on my Facebook page. Mike, you rock, my friend. Have an awesome, awesome day.
You bet. Thank y'all. Great to have you. Thanks.